Yo, what's good, guys? We are back at it again with another tier list. This time it is the Outfielders for the very end of set 4 as we start to get into set 5. So, a lot of these cards will be expiring soon. I'm sure we'll get another version of them very shortly because that seems to be the content cycle for the show right now. But I do want to rank these, give you guys a perspective on what Outfielders you should be using going into the end of set 4, start of set 5. McCutcheon, How the Mighty Have Fallen. There once was a time where this guy was one of the better outfield options you could field in the game. Not anymore. His longevity was not like that because honestly, we got a lot of good outfielders in set 4. Unfortunately, it's just too little too late. Austin Riley has it all if you like his swing. Other than the defense isn't really there necessarily compared to some of these other guys. Buxton, A tier. Like I said, probably still the best defensive center fielder in the game, other than Drew Jones, who I don't think is on here. Not how you spell his name. Drew Jones is just slightly worse at hitting, better defensively. Byron Buxton. These two are practically the same card, so don't really love either of them. Delgado should never be in your outfield. I put him here just as a mention because he has that as a secondary, but in general, he is a DH or first baseman. Charlie Blackmon, if you like the slap swings, probably has a case for S tier. I'll be honest. Me personally, I'm not a slap swing type of guy, but if you are, he has an argument for it. You can see the hitting stats on him are absolutely nasty. Obviously, you do have to have finished Team Affinity to get him, but really not a bad card all the way around. Good fielding, decent enough speed. He does a little bit of everything for you in the outfield and has a great swing if you do like those slap swings. This Yelich might be the best Yelich we've ever gotten in the show. Don't know what compelled them to give him 92 speed. Yes, he did steal a lot of bases once upon a time, but it's not because he was fast. It was because of his base running. It was because of his anticipation. So 92 speed is kind of out of left field for them, but makes him a very, very good card. Bellinger, still a solid option. I'm going to put him here as a corner outfielder, but the power isn't really there like you'd probably like it to be. Speaking of power not being there, Carroll just doesn't hit lefties well at all. Granderson's more of a budget option at this point. Dante Bichette, always loved Bichette cards. DH. He is a DH. He should not be in your outfield. Duke Snyder, a lot of the same things. He gets more of a pass because he's somewhat fast. I think he has like 71 speed. Put him in a corner, he'd be kind of fine. He should never touch center field, ever. Dylan Cruz, still a good option. You know, he's running out of time for him to still be eligible. This is just a little budget card I wanted to throw in there because of how good Eric Davis was at the start of the year. Don't know why they keep giving him Orioles cards. I don't think we had ever gotten an Orioles Eric Davis before this year. I want to put this ringer in B tier, but if you really like his swing, I think he can play up to it. It's just, I don't really love the swing, and the attributes aren't really there. Giancarlo, if you have to play him in the outfield, is serviceable. He's actually not terrible defensively, but his best spot is definitely going to be as a DH. He's very similar to Duke Snyder in that regard. Hank Thompson, I don't rate at all anymore. Don't think he's doing anything special anymore. He is a all around, jack of all trades type guy, and there's just really no spot for that. Harmon Killebrew, yeah, I mean, again, more of a DH, more of a first baseman, and honestly, he's probably the worst of all of these here at those other things. Harmon always has a bad swing in the game. I just don't really see any use out of him. Jackson Chourio, however you say it, looks absolutely nasty. Brand new ranked reward, goes on the shortstop team as a primary center fielder. Gonna be super nasty, right? We all know he's going to be absolutely disgusting. It's just a matter of what his swing looks like, which I'm not totally sure of, but stats wise, he is no doubt S tier. Prime Jason Hayward, just a really mid card. If you want to make the argument for B tier, I would listen, but I don't think he's there personally. Jock Peterson, still a good little corner outfield option. If you still hit really good with Jock, you can make the argument for A tier. I just think there's other options that aren't quite as much of a defensive liability at this point. This Soler, more of a DH, like a slightly worse fielding Stanton. He'll probably hit a little better than Stanton. A lot of people always love Soler cards, but the defense is just, ooh, it's rough. J-Ram, I mean, the longevity on this card's been crazy. You can make the argument he's not an S tier. With the shortstop boost, he is without a doubt S tier. But if he doesn't have that shortstop boost active, you can make the argument maybe he's A tier because of how bad he is against lefties. But again, how many switch hitters are you really going to get that's that fast that can play a corner outfield spot with somewhat premium defense? Not many. Juan Soto. Honestly, Jock Peterson's probably better defensively than Juan Soto. If you like Juan's swing, then that's one thing. But, really an expensive card for no reason at this point. Julio has an argument for S tier for sure. I think stat-wise, he looks almost perfect, other than the power is a little low. It's just a matter of if you like his swing. I think it's mediocre. I'm not going to call it a great swing. If you want to call it a good swing, I could get on board with that. Griffey's gonna Griffey. Contact numbers are a little low unless you're running a durability team, but it's still Griffey at the end of the day, and he still brings premium defense. Cattell on a shortstop team, I think, is without a doubt S because his defense gets better to be one of the better defensive outfield options you could have. Otherwise, I think he's just top of A tier. A lot of people don't love his swing necessarily, even though he is a switch hitter. This Schwarber card, if you have this card in your outfield, I'm laughing at you. He might be worse than all of these defensively. His true value is DH, first base, catcher. He should not be seeing your outfield. Luis Gonzalez, again, goes in this kind of probably should be a DH tier. Obviously, very good at hitting. I really like his swing. I loved it last year on that finest card towards the end of the year. And this one, I assume, has the same swing. But again, that defense is really rough. Max Clark, similar to Dylan Cruz. I think if I had to pick between him and Cruz, I think Cruz is still on top. But I don't think he's any worse than Corbin Carroll. So I think he's A tier. I think he's decent there. This Miggy card that just came out is astounding, but I think he has 54 speed, something like that. So again, goes in this kind of should be a DH tier, but he is definitely towards the top of that tier. Mike Cameron, still a decent card. I think he's probably where I draw the line between these top of the line premium guys and the very good guys. I think he is a very good guy. I do not think he is a top tier option at his position, mainly because I would rather have these three at center field for sure, and then Griffey's there too. I mean, center field's pretty stacked at this point. The outfield has gotten very stacked recently, and there's a lot of good options. You got Mookie, probably the best right fielder in the game, the best second baseman in the game, and has arguments at those other outfield spots. This Castellanos card, still a very good value card for what he is. Does not play good defense. Similar defense to these guys, but, swings a good bat, has, max contact. The power is a little lackluster, but, you can't have everything when you're in the B tier. Ricky, stat-wise, always looks really good. Always has a dog water swing. Just an absolute atrocious swing. And he's always been like that, and he probably will always be like that. Clemente lacks power. Other than that, he's fine. He's a little bit slow in right field, but he has max out reaction, so it kind of makes up for the bad speed. If you do like his swing, I remember the collection one last year was very hot and cold for me. He is basically that card. A little bit slower, I think, but he is solid, especially if you want to run the Puerto Rican captain boost on him, the Lindor boost. Ronald looks very good, but he's getting a 99 milestone card that will probably put him up here with the likes of Trout, Mookie, and Jackson, and all these other guys. He will probably leapfrog them at least and be a top 3, top 5 outfielder in the game when he gets that milestone card. I don't know when that's going to be, but the card art is already on Showzone. They kind of already leaked it. I put Sammy Sosa here because, he's better than the Great Race of '98 one. So if you're going to use the Sammy Sosa, the Live Series one's still better than the Great Race one. But would I touch him? No. Personally, I don't really like his swing that much. I don't think he has really the greatest contact numbers. But if you do really like him, you can make the argument maybe he should make A tier. Sean Green, always a pretty slept on card. I'm not going to sit up here and say he's the absolute greatest, but you can see 102 is a little low, 125 is excellent, 108, bang on average, and 115 is slightly above average. So looks very good, good fielding, and good speed. You put him in a corner spot, has a very good lefty swing. I always like Sean Green's swing when I do use his cards. This Tony Gwynn is terrible. This card's awful, and it's fat Tony Gwynn. It's towards the end of his career, Tony Gwynn, so he doesn't even have like 85 plus speed. He has 76. So this card is awful. There's basically no reason in using it. The power either needed to be slightly higher or he needed to be faster. He doesn't really have any value being what he is at the moment. He is basically upgraded Luis Arias, which I don't think anybody asked for. Vlad, top of A tier. I think he lacked some of the power, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, 125, and then the power is just a little low. So, if you really do like his swing, this might be the best defensive Vlad Guerrero card we've ever gotten. But the power is low, right? There's the trade-off for it, so they can save one for down the line to drop that has insane stats. They kind of nerf the power on this one. So, a little bit down for that. Wyatt Langford, never been a huge fan of. Don't think his swing's too great. Stat-wise, he's fine. Does make the durability team if you are still running that. And he kind of needs it because he's just bang on average to slightly below average in all his hitting categories, and he's not super fast. He plays an okay outfield. He's just kind of mid. So that's the tier list. I think that's kind of the outfielders you should be running. I think these are your absolute top of the line options. A lot of them are lefties, so if you do still struggle against like John Donaldson and like Zach Britton and guys like that, then maybe prioritize some of these righties. But A tier, I think, is full of good options also. B tier, if you have a preference for some of these players, you might can bump them up, make them usable. And then C tier are guys I either wouldn't really touch or they should be at DH. So, yeah, guys, that's it. We had a kind of a little return to form here with the content. I'm going to try to keep the tier list going. Obviously, it does seem like it's been a while since the last tier list, but that's honestly just because I haven't been uploading my other usual content. It's been about average for when I do the tier list. I do them about once a month. And so, yeah. Coming up soon, some 2K videos, hopefully, and the pitcher and infielder tier list. Until next time, guys. Peace.